Good morning, everyone. Happy Halloween. It is Monday, October 31st, 2022. My name is Carlos Garcia, founder and CEO of GAR Capital. I am wearing a Stormtrooper mask in celebration of Halloween. I'm not one to dress up. I actually am not a huge fan of Halloween. But either way, here we are. Let's be a little festive and enjoy as my mask is slipping down. This one actually has a voice changer. Pretty cool. As I'm talking, of course, my eyes are getting fogged up, but I hope everyone's having a nice Halloween. Let's go ahead and rock and roll. Dow futures down 167 points, Nasdaq futures down about 0.73%, S&P futures down about 0.58%. I hope my voice sounds pretty cool with this changer. You will follow this news accordingly. All right, so now we'll take a look at crude futures down 1.67% to 86 dollars a barrel. And I have to keep holding this stupid mask up. My apologies. Gold futures this morning down about 0.28%. Gasoline futures down about 2. Okay, this was fun for a second, but I'm gonna take it off. Pretty cool helmet, but unfortunately, this is very tight and a lot of pressure on my nose. So happy Halloween. I could only do it for a couple of seconds. Let's get to work. All right, gold futures down 0.26%. Of course, I can actually see everything. Silver futures down about 0.48%. Copper futures down about 0.71%. And really, the only reason is the dollar. The dollar is up today 0.57% this morning, 111.38. Treasury yields 10-year 4.046. That is up today. Volatility index is up today as well. VIX on a gap up up 4.85% at 27. Let's take a look at the euro dollar, 99.10, down about 55 pips, 148.71 for the dollar yen. That's up 126 pips. A pound dollar is down 115.02. Bitcoin is up today, 0.34%, even with a stronger dollar. 1622 for Ethereum futures. Ethereum is up about nearly 4% this morning. That's great news if you're an Ethereum holder. All right, let's go over some. Well, it is the end of the month. If the Dow closed today at its current levels, it would be its best return for October since 1976. Dow on a 6-session win streak. That is according to CNBC. I'm watching it right now. Okay, so let's go ahead and break down S&P futures. And if you have any questions, of course, feel free to type it in the chat box. Let's go on the hourly chart again, kind of hugging the 786 fib line that we've had on the daily. That's right at 3891, 3900 or so. We know that that's a big level right here, that 100-day moving average. We're above the 50. Let's see if we can actually close above it. We settle above it. But again, let's see if we can continue the upside. 3980 is our next target, at least short term. If you are planning to go long, that's the target I'm looking for, 4,000, 3980. Again, we talked about this 200 MA right at a 4110. That would be the first big level to take out. And then you have 4,200, which is that trend line. And again, definitely could reject. It's not like, it's impossible. We can reject that trend line. 4,200 is the level we're looking for. Mike Wilson from Morgan Stanley agrees with me. He says 4,150. I would say 4,200. So 50 points away difference in according to target. He doesn't indicate that he thinks it's a bottom. Of course, this is on Bloomberg. I shared this on Twitter. You could see equities gain even with earnings. This is on from him, quote, "This kind of price action isn't unusual towards the end of the cycle, particularly as the Fed moves closer to the end of its tightening campaign, something that we think is approaching." So he thinks that the Fed is done with tightening. We've talked about that. Remember, we talked about how pricing in Armageddon, pricing in all the bad news. And then now what? We've gone through the list. We've wrote down in our minds the earnings, the Federal Reserve, CPI, PPI, geopolitical issues, obviously Ukraine, China, Russia, whatever. I mean, there's tons of things that we can write down, and here we are. So again, we're starting to price in everything. Word is that now, again, this is just whisper talk that is going to be 50 basis points in December. 75 is pretty much baked in for Wednesday. We do have a FOMC on Wednesday. So again, we're going to watch that. The expectation is 75. Remember, Bank of Canada did a lower than expected. Maybe we start getting that as the central banks are starting to kind of get away from the tightening cycle, at least in terms of comparison of other nations in the world. The United States, in terms of inflation, is on the lower end, not the lowest, 8%, 9%, but again, still doing better than most of the world. And again, that matters because capital flows. Again, guys, you can't sit on cash as a hedge fund, mutual fund manager, or any of those kind of managers, especially towards the end of the year. This is why, seasonally speaking, the fourth quarter is so strong. It's because you have to buy at the end of the day. You want to make bonus. You want to make those trades if you are in banking or in corporate. Again, you want to make sales. So again, the idea is that more buyers will come in as we start getting towards the end of the year. Again, 4,200 is my target for the end of the year. That's my base case. That's what I'm looking for. I say we've hit a bottom in terms of the Fed, in terms of the market. I think 3,500 is the lowest you'll get. 3,600 really my level. No one else has really announced that. I don't think they want to, and that's fair. Morgan Stanley or Mike Wilson doesn't have to go out of their way and say we hit a bottom. But again, they're talking about a pivot, obviously the real one this time. 3,700 is a stop level. That's what they're going by. Pretty similar. That's your 20-day there. But again, he says Wilson says the bear market is likely to end sometime in the first quarter. Uh, I believe that we'll end it by December. So again, we'll see what the Fed does. It's a lot of moving parts, but that's my target. 4,200 is my target on the S&P. That's that lower top end of the trend line that we're looking for, that we rejected back in April and back in August. So, or back in March and back in August. So let's see if we can break around this time. Let's go and bring up the volatility index, VIX. Again, bouncing off that 200 MA right now on the daily. We still got 24 as my main target. That's the trend line that we've been having on the daily. Let's go and bring up the dollar. Let's see. The dollar bouncing off a key trend line. Let's take a look here at the month. Actually, let's look at the max. And you could see, remember that trend line that we built? Boom, boom, boom. We just need to get below 110. That's the level we're looking for. If we can get below 110, then I think we could still rally a little higher. Obviously, 4,200 is the target. Let's go take a look at the 10-year yield, TNX. You could see in terms of the expansion, or the Fibonacci retracement expansion. I don't have that here. I don't know why, but I can always draw another one. So let's go ahead and draw some Fibonacci retracement levels. So let's go ahead and do that. Do we want to go the weekly? Let's go to the daily. Daily would probably be our best bet, and then we could always zoom out. We'll go to Fibonacci retracement. You can start from the bottom. You can start from the top. We'll start from the bottom here, 748 on the TNX. We'll go to 43.33. That gets us where we are. Again, at least on the daily. If we bring up a weekly chart, real no extension again. But again, 5% seems to be that resistance, at least on a expanded basis. 43.33 is how high we got. We're at 40.46. That's 4.0%, or 4.026 on a 10-year basis. Nice. We do have a little bit of a gap to fill to the upside. We have another gap to fill to the downside. So again, we're going to be watching very closely on 10-year yields, but that's really on just bond buying, if anything else. Let's go ahead, and we took a look at VIX. We took a look at the dollar. Let's take a look at Qs real quick. Qs are interesting, obviously, something that we always trade. 284 being our resistance on the 1 hour. So we bring up the daily. We are now above the 20-day moving average, bounce above that, which is nice. We do have 286.30 as resistance on the 50-day MA on the daily. So again, if you are planning to go long on Qs, 286 is your first resistance. Right now it's trading at 279. So again, a 285 calls if we start getting a little bit of a run, sure. If you get above 282, I would say, well, really 284 would be it. But if you kind of want to get under it, 280, 281, 83, you go for the 285 calls on Qs, maybe for this week or next if you want to buy time. And that's what I'm looking for. But again, 281.84 is my target. If we break out above that, I will go to 285 calls on QQQ moving forward. How do you trade options on ENPH? This is Enphase Energy. I don't know. I really don't check them in terms of options. It's not one of my list. You can just type in Enphase, and there's options contracts. Obviously, you're not going to see much now, but just put it on the options chain. Make sure the volume is there so you can get rid of your contracts quickly, whether you're in profit or at a loss. So again, I don't know if Enphase has a ton of volume, again, as much as the major names that we trade. Your AMDs, your Apples, your Microsofts, your SPYs, your Qs, et cetera, et cetera. Nothing against Enphase. You could just own it if you want. But again, if you want to trade options, you're going to have to take a look at the options chain. Let's say calls until Wednesday, then puts for rate hikes. Tough to call there. Remember, we do have the expectation of 75 basis points. So let's take a look at SPY together. Let's say if we were taking a look at SPY and we wanted to trade it before FOMC, what are we doing? We got this yellow line here at 392. We're trading at 387.25. As long as we hold the 50 MA here, but again, the level I'm looking for is 390 to break. If 390 does break, then we continue the upside. I'm still holding SPY calls for this week. I sent out a SPY trade to our masterclass members, the 395 calls for the second, which would be Wednesday, Fed day. I told them to take it around 30%. I think we got 30 on it. And I held it personally. I'm up 24% this morning. That'll be down this morning. I still held it, but Masterclass took it. I'm expecting us to continue higher. We do have a gap to fill on the daily. I don't think we get there by Wednesday. Obviously, we do have a Fed day. But again, if we do get a nice little squeeze, those spike calls may be interesting. Masterclass already took it, so at least that I wouldn't want to get into another position ahead of it. So that's where we are. Just got a Bloomberg headline. Let's take a look at it together. Brazil IB Vespa index drops 2% at the open. This is because of the election that was yesterday in terms of the Brazilian presidential election. The leftist candidate won, so that makes sense with the stock market going down in Brazil. Do we have any stats on how money markets are usually green on red on Halloween based on history? I don't have anything that stands out in terms of Halloween, to be honest with you. The almanac, I didn't see much on the almanac in terms of Halloween. But again, trade with what you see at the end of the day. Remember, it's a Halloween day. I don't think people are going to go out as much as they did on Saturday. So full schedule is not like anything has changed. Halloween is not exactly a bank holiday. So I really wouldn't put too much emphasis that it's Halloween. I would rather take a look at the Fed day on Wednesday. That's key. Good morning, Carlos. Do you expect dollar to continue to rally short term or long term? No, I think the dollar has peaked, and I agree with Mike Wilson. I think the dollar has peaked. I think that due to the interventions by Japan and UK, that's going to put some pressure on the dollar. Now, granted, we're bouncing back about $2 from the lows that we hit. So I do expect us to fall further, break that 110 level, kind of get us to around 105, 108 or so, kind of get us out of that big multi-week trend line to the inside there, reversion to the mean. But again, I'm bullish. What can I say? If the dollar can continue to fall, stocks will continue to go higher. If the dollar continues, if it does bounce from these levels, you're going to see some hits on the equity markets. But there's been days where the dollar is up and the stock market is up. Look at Bitcoin today, Ethereum. Ethereum's up 4%, even though the dollar's up, which is priced in dollars. So make it as what you wish. It is a guide at the end of the day. So we'll see where we go from there. Thank you, boss. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate it as always. Again, guys, it's the end of the month. It's been a great month so far. We've done very, very well. There's no need to give anything away in a Halloween. Again, we have FOMC on Wednesday. No real rhyme or reason to start jumping into everything today, buying the dip today. You don't need to. Let's see how the market goes. Again, kind of holding up pretty well. Dow's down about 134 points. The Dow index is near overbought on the daily. We could take a look at that together. Let's bring up futures YM, which is Dow futures. Again, that's more blended with value stocks, as we know. We'll throw in an RSI. Let's go ahead and take a look at that. Let's see. Portfolio studies and momentum studies. Here we go. RSI. This is RSI. This is relative strength indicator. Okay, let's bring up the daily. Again, overbought on the Dow, broke above the 200-day. So expect a little bit of a fall. Maybe we get back down to 32.5, 32,000. Maybe, could be. Let's take a look at the weekly. Weekly is not at overbought, but at least the daily is. So again, it's no surprise that we're going to probably get a little bit of a reprieve today. Again, nothing really to do there. I don't expect to short this market unless we start breaking some key levels. The key levels that I would be looking at in terms of S&P to the downside. Let's bring up the daily. Really, your level is, if we're trading at 38.90, 38.46 seems about right. And then you could target 3800 for a retest. We've retested many times today. If we retest 3800 again, I wouldn't be too excited for that. But 38.46, the 50-day MA, that's what I'm looking for. Apple, let's take a look at Apple. Apple on fire. Love that name, obviously, as we know. Had their earnings beat. Oh, the earnings beat top and bottom. Not exactly exciting, but the safety of an Apple, the brand of Apple, that's where everyone's kind of going for safety there. Looks like we're tapping 152.42 pretty soon. Maybe we get back to 150, who knows? But in terms of the daily, you could see that we did break above the 50-day MA, but rejected the 200, 156.76. If we start breaking above the 200-day MA, that's where I want to go long there and start taking a look at possibly the 162s, 160 calls right here on that fib there. That's what I'm looking for. AMD run up, semiconductor on came on and beat earnings estimates. That was retweeted. Take a look at that. Take a look at the hourly on AMD. That's down about a buck today. You really, the level you need to break is 62.45. If that does break ahead of earnings, then you're taking a look at 64 and looking to pull the ripcord opted before that. Unless you want to roll the dice and play earnings. I own AMD shares, so I already got enough risk on the board. Should we get a run up into earnings? I mean, we've had it before. It's not like it would fit the mold of AMD running up into earnings and selling up into selling up post earnings, or then you get a sell off into earnings and then earnings do okay and then it bounces. And again, guys, it's all about the reaction. It's not really just, oh, did it beat or did it fail? Microsoft beat on both the top and bottom line, and they were down. Doesn't matter. Hey, you're welcome. Thank you so much. In regards to AMD, I think the bar is so low. I think they'll meet on terms of profit. I think they'll miss on revenue as demand comes down. But again, that is a very low bar for AMD, Nvidia, and such with semiconductors. Now they finally got supply in. Supply chain issues are happening, but computing and gaming are down. So again, still not getting that equal, Goldilocks effect where, hey, we got demand and we got the supply to fulfill demand. First, we had demand going crazy and not enough supply, hence inflation. Now we're starting to get demand go lower and prices are still kind of stable or still cutting. So again, expect in Black Friday for supply to be higher, inventory for like a Target, a Walmart, expect some big markdowns. Again, they want to get rid of this inventory. I think that kind of helps the bull strategy of still demand being strong, retail sales still relatively strong. People are working, people are still consuming. Goods inflation was flat, 0.0%, but services inflation was the big one on CPI. So we're going to keep an eye on that as we go. Obviously, the holiday season, people tend to be a little more optimistic towards the tail end of the year. It's not without fail because remember in 2018 we had rate hikes increase in 2018 with the Fed right through Christmas. I remember I traded that. My hands were in my face during the 2018. That to me was the worst bear market ever to me. So again, this kind of stuff I'm used to, but 2018 was really bad. And again, that was in Christmas time. Oh God, terrible. What's your average cost on AMD? Let me see if I can get that here. I've had AMD for a while now. I have it here on on Thinkorswim. I mean, excuse me, on investment. Excuse me, Robinhood and TOS. So on Robinhood, my average cost is 120.05. That's not the best, obviously. Look how much we're down now. Let me see if I could bring up my. Let's see here. Let me build this up. This is my portfolio here that I track on AMD. 84.73 is where my initial buy or my full buy that I've had for a while now, and I've had AMD for a long time. 84.73 is my current one on TD. Imagine that we're at 61. So down across the board on AMD. I love it. Holding on to it for a while. If you really want to know something funny, I actually had AMD back 2011, 2010. I want to say 2011. I bought it for about $1. The shares. I bought 50 shares for a buck. That thing went to $5 and I cashed out. I know. That's cashing out for you guys. That's a great, it's something that I always tell people about holding. It happens. I mean, sometimes you want to take profit, sometimes you want to hold. It just happens that way. Everyone is different. There's no need to trade war stories on there. We've all been there. Well done. $12 on average price on AMD. There you go. You got a banger there. Good price. We'll go and leave it there, guys. Have a great rest of your morning. Have a great rest of your Halloween. And make sure to hit that like button on the bottom right-hand corner of your screen. Make sure to subscribe. Have a great rest of your day. We'll catch you guys tomorrow for the morning note. Bloggers, Nick is out today. I will be blogging all day today on Discord. We hope to see you soon. Thank you so much for joining me today and every day. Have a great rest of your day. Cheers.